There we are. Hello, everybody. Dr. Robert with you over here.
Rev Z right here.
And Reverend Barbara Jean right here.
And this is New Thought Today on the New Thought Media Network. Come to you every Tuesday live at 2 p.m. Mountain Time, and we're back. It's a brand new year. We took our holiday hiatus, I'm going to call it, because it's been a while since you've seen us live. We've been running a number of reruns for you over the month of December, and it's January, so we're back live. We have got a heck of a schedule filling up already. See, I don't think we have a week without a guest until like middle of April at this point. So life is good.
I like it.
Exactly.
Yeah, that increases the conversation, which right now we need lots of conversation.
Yes, with a lot of people. And our guest today is Reverend Barbara Jean of the Universal Joy Center in Toronto, Canada. I trust there isn't an extra tariff for having you on the show from Canada today.
I hope not.
I hope not. How are you doing, dear one? Welcome aboard.
Oh, thank you so much. It's wonderful to be here. Yeah, we're doing okay up here. We're changing some things around on how we do our services. We call them gatherings rather than services. I'm getting away from the church model and trying to create something that's a little more, a little more inclusive and interesting, and I think we're having some fun. So we've moved our service to Wednesday nights instead of Sunday morning.
Well, there you go.
Mm-hmm.
I think in Canada, you're probably safe from a U.S. invasion, at least for a little while. At least
it'd be good for another week or two until they're finished with Greenland down south there. And
yeah, and once we get Greenland, then you might have to worry. But until then, the risk board is safe for Canada at the moment, folks. And you said, I think you just said the magic words, and we want to hear a lot more about it. You said getting away from the church model.
Yeah.
And here we love talking about what's coming in the future, and we're going to talk about that a lot in the second segment of today's show. But I do want to share with us a bit. Tell us what's going on at the Universal Joy Center. You changed your name since the last time we were all together, and you were here. You're no stranger to the show. You've been here before. So you've changed the name of your center since the last time we were together. And again, we want to learn more. So tell us.
Well, we changed the name because, we became the Center for Spiritual Living a very long time ago. I can't remember what year it was, 2010 or something. I don't know. It was a long time ago. And we were finding, Canada's a little different than the US when it comes to religion. It's not well liked up here very much. And so the whole idea, like you start talking about church or God or things like this, and you can just see the eyes begin to close as the blinder comes down and people just aren't interested. So we sat back and thought, well, what is it that we do? And what we do is we teach the science of mind. And we're looking at how we can do that differently. And what we've been trying to do, because we're an online ministry completely. And so by doing online, people get really bored and start scrolling the minute you start doing certain things, like a bunch of recorded music or this or that. People just get bored. So we thought, well, what do we do differently? And so what we've done is we've moved to Wednesday evening, 7 o'clock Eastern, which is 5 o'clock Mountain. And we are doing a tight 30-minute service that is like just fast. There's no extra music components. There is music underneath the meditations and things. There's meditation. There's a message. There's just a really good energy that has come out of these last few weeks because this is all brand new. And we're finding that we're starting to get some newcomers coming in. So that feels pretty good. And this Wednesday night is our Burning Bowl. And so I'm hoping that we're going to have some people in attendance for that. But what's happened is, even when we changed the name, it was like, what do we do? And I know for me, what happened when I found Science of Mind is I went from misery to joy. My life had become more joyful, and it has continued to do that. And it's getting better and better all the time. So I'm thinking, what are people looking for in life? Well, they're looking for prosperity. They're looking for success. Well, maybe sex too, but um, success for sure. But to sit back and turn around and be able to offer something that can transform their lives, which of course Science of Mind can do that, because it changes the way we think about things. And the minute we do that, there's a shift that occurs on how we perceive everything, and the world becomes, I don't know, it just appears a little sweeter, I think. And for me, I became more joyful. And so the Universal Joy Center, to me, didn't talk about religion at all. There's nothing in it that says, this is a place of God or whatever. I mean, every place is a place of God ultimately. But I just wanted to be clear about that. And so the board got together and we talked about these different things. And this is what we came up with. And then since then, we've been working on, well, how do we change? And it's really hard to get out of the box that we were in. It's like you got to do a little opening prayer, and you got to have a little piece of music, and you got to do a little meditation, and you got to have another piece of music, and you blah, 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 blah. Anyway, it goes on and on. And so we decided, well, how do we just change that up completely? And we have, in fact, changed it up completely. It's now, tomorrow nights will probably be an hour because it's the Burning Bowl. But the other ones, we're tightening them up to 30 minutes. Because when you look at people's attention span these days, look at TikTok, 30 seconds, 15 seconds, like everything's fast and quick. People want things in nuggets. And so we're doing a 30-minute tight service. Mm-hmm. Then at the end of that 30 minutes, we're doing a community gathering. So we do the service. People can log off if they want, or they can stay and join the chat. And we get in conversation and we talk about what's happening and what we're all doing. And there's a community building component, because when you're online, it's not like you can go up and hug your friend that you're seeing today for the first time in 2 weeks. It's like you're seeing just this much. So how do we do that? So it seems to be working. It's really new, so I can't say for sure, but it feels really good. And I've had people watch the service that know nothing about what we do. And the comments back have been like, wow, it's so calming. And I just feel so good in it, and I feel safe. I had a woman last week who has been doing different Zoom things since COVID hit. And she has never once turned her camera on in those 5 years, 5.5 years. She turned her camera on. She said, for whatever reason, I feel safe.
There we go.
So and she's brand new. It was the first time she'd attended a service.
Wow. I love that piece of building the sense of safety.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Everyone needs to feel safe. They need to feel loved. They need to feel accepted. And it's just, and creating everything with a sense of inclusion, that there is no, you got to do this, or you got to do that. Everything is about invitations. So we're working on making sure that even when we introduce something new, that we're saying, you're invited to do this, or if you would like, you can do that. Like, we're not creating something where you have to turn your camera on. The other thing we're doing, though, that is new, is we are shutting off everybody's cameras and mics for that 30 minutes. And then as soon as that's over, then they come on. So that also prevents, somebody accidentally standing up in their underwear, or worse. Or, I had a guy one time taking his shirt off, and I thought, okay, we'll just kick you out now before we see what else is coming.
We see what else is there.
So, that's the thing with online, is there's some little glitches sometimes, but we've managed to work that all out. And, we've really started to promote our Instagram and our TikTok. We're getting really great energy on TikTok. It's funny. We only have 20 followers, but I have one little short video there, one reel that got I don't know, almost 4,000 views in the first 2 days or something. And, so they're getting 600-700, all of them. And so we're working on really building that platform. And it is my daughter's boyfriend who's doing that work for us. And he's just watching the algorithms, and he knows all this weird stuff that I know nothing about. And he's making it work. So we'll see how that goes over the next little while, because that's new too. We've been doing it for about a month now.
Wow. Right on.
Yeah. It's exciting. And he's going to start producing my Joey show. Right here on the New Thought Media Network. Yeah. Things are good.
I sense Elzia's got a question here.
Yeah, of course, I'm on a whole new vibe. Come 2026, this very new beginning, and I know for myself, the reminder or the rallying point is the oneness, right? Mm. The connection of it all, and
absolutely
that spawned this question in terms of your switching up the program and your services. In that, what I heard, I'm thinking I'd like you to expound on it, is how do we create a container so that everyone has a place to come and drink, or as the old saying goes, you can take a horse to water, but you can't make him drink. But that's not your charge. Your charge is to create a thirst so that he wants to drink. And right. So how do we create that container? Because we have all these trigger words, religion and God and right and wrong, that keeps people away from recognizing the oneness. So I know that was a long, drawn out question, but I'll be quiet and listen to you respond.
Well, thank you for that. It's interesting. Oneness is the reality, whether we want to acknowledge it or not. It is the reality. And, educating people, because for me, when I'm doing a service, I want every component to lead to that ultimately, that each person begins to realize that I am one with every single person. And so what I think, what I say, what I do matters. It's, we introduce our pronouns, we do a land acknowledgement, we talk about, the interconnectedness of life itself. And I make sure that those are things that are part of every service, that we make it really, really clear. And it doesn't matter who you are or how you find us. It doesn't matter if you donate or don't donate. None of it matters. You can take class or not take class. Whatever suits you, I will be there for you. And anytime you need that extra little lift, I'm going to be there, because we're connected, we're one. And right. So the message is always, what am I doing, saying, thinking that has an impact on everybody else? Because everything we think, say, and do impacts the whole. And so getting that message across sometimes can be a little bit daunting, but it's doable. And I think we have to continually go back to it. So I'm teaching foundations, the new foundations. I taught the old foundations in the fall. I'm teaching the new foundations and now starting on Friday morning. And I'm teaching it for free. Everybody can come and take it, because frankly, if you want to get anything out of this or begin to really understand oneness or whatever, you've got to do more than a 10 to 30 minute feel good thing. You have to actually put your feet to the pedal and get involved. And taking a class does that. So a way to open that door, instead of doing a discovery class for 2 or 3 weeks, do foundations for 6. And I haven't read the entire curriculum yet, but I went through the first lesson and felt really excited about the way it's formatted. It's way easier, I think, to really comprehend. So I'm really excited to start teaching it. And then I teach self-mastery on Wednesdays. That's a paid class, but it's like, this energy of getting people excited, and sometimes, talking to them about what's got them anxious or fearful or doubting or whatever, just to talk about where that's coming from and how do we begin to address it. And as we start doing treatment, I did treatment with somebody this afternoon who knows nothing about our teaching, but is on a spiritual path, and, called me a year and a half ago about interviewing me for a book, and then turned around and called me to say, I've got this thing going on. Can you help? And so we did treatment together. And I think one of the things about that is making sure that everything we do is accessible, that everything is equitable. So like what we charge for classes is quite high, but I let everybody know, if you can't afford to take it, I will not close the door to you. You get to take the class.
Right.
Like, for me, it's not about the money, it's about the message. And I want to make sure that that idea of you are welcome, you're accepted, you are loved and appreciated. I tell people all the time how much I love them. And that could be even strangers on the street for that matter, but it's just part of my energy that I want to make sure. I had a gentleman, I was at the bank the other day taking some money out of an ATM, and I was walking out of the building, and this guy says, "Did you leave some for him?" And it took me a second to log, and I said, "Well, of course I did, a little for you as well." And he just laughed. He said, "That's awesome." He said, you actually caught what I was saying. Some people just give me a weird look and walk away. And I went, no. I love that kind of stuff. So, it's like, how do we, oneness is about every moment of every hour of every day. How are we connecting? How are we connecting first here to our own self? And then how are we connecting with the people we come across? And it's easy to get short and sharp and frustrated with people. But the truth is that doesn't serve anybody. And when we can learn to just cool the jets a little bit and go, wait a minute, this is my family in front of me. This is me in front of me. How do I respond to that oneness? And, I speak at World AIDS Day and I speak at other events, and they're all so important, because if we don't do that, then people don't discover what's coming. Have I answered that? Like, did I?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. No doubt.
and
because I think oneness, this idea of oneness, is plain. You can't explain oneness, I don't think, because for us to understand and navigate the world, we have to make a differentiation between outside and inside, right? I can be in the house with my warm heater on and be fine, but if I go outside, I might need my coat. There's a distinction between things, but there's no separation between those things. There is a oneness, and when we can begin to operate in that, and from that ultimate level of being, and not in that reality place of differentiation, then we can. And it's a tough concept to try to get your head around, but that's why I love religious science, because it gives us all of the models, all of the stories to feel into that, whether you're looking at science, biology or chemistry or whatever.
All of it leads you to the same place, right? So it's
and in your sharing, Reverend Barbara, you reminded me of a principle that has kind of come back up for me in the last few weeks. And that's kind of the nature of this philosophy. Things slip away, you forget catchy phrases, and then somehow, some way, they just go wham, there we are again. And the idea is that there is no private good. There's no private good. Yes, it's personal, and we start with that, and we have to make it personal. And whether it's asking for treatment because we're confused, or whether it's supporting, just getting ourselves in order, the good we experience does affect, does touch everyone around us and people we don't know. And I love the idea of, did you leave some in there for the next guy? Right? Because of course we did. There's an unlimited amount of money in the world. There's always going to be something in there for the next guy. But it's the fact that my good is doing good for others. So if I can stay in that place, if I can keep bringing myself back to what's the good here, and not just how does it affect me. I think a lot of people get really wrapped up in, it's my gig and it's my stuff and the heck with and I don't care about anybody else. But our good amplifies the good for all.
Absolutely. And there's no way to separate you and I. Right. Like we can pretend to, we can put up a barrier and go, oh, well, you're in the US, so, I'm in Canada. So, but like that doesn't work, because there is no separation. That what impacts you is impacting me. When I take in a breath and let out a breath, that is all connected. And it's like, no matter how we look at it, there's no way to actually sit back and go, there is true separation. We start to see things. Somebody said to me the other day about, oh, it was such an interesting coincidence. This happened. And I went, was it a coincidence? Or is it just the natural outpicturing of the universal flow? Because we are connected. And if I pay attention to that, I'll always find the answer. I'll always find the way forward. And I think, if we can teach our children to love, I really have a challenge with things like the, stranger danger, for example. That to me is a huge mistake. Because if we say stranger danger, what we've told our children is the people in your household are the ones you can count on. Maybe not.
Yeah.
Right? So it's like, I never taught my daughter that ever. My youngest daughter. The other ones, well, it's so long ago, I'm not sure what I taught them. But what I taught her was, listen to your intuition. If it feels wrong, it is.
Yeah.
If it feels bad, walk away. And anytime, we had company or whatever, and somebody say, oh, give me a hug. And she'd go, no, I'm good. I would never force her to do that, because it's, we've created things where we think we have to push people on each other, and we do not need to do that. We need to coexist, but not just with people, with the animal world and with the with plants and nature. We need to come to a more holistic understanding that there is a deep connection. And if we will just take a breath and stop the judgments, whenever I judge something, I go, oh, okay, where's that in me? Let me take a peek. I couldn't see it if I didn't have it. So, it's like always we're in that process. So, I tell strangers all the time that I love them. It doesn't matter if it's a man or a woman. It makes no difference to me. If there's a connection, however it is, like the man with the money at the bank yesterday, it's like, yeah, I love you, man. Like it's just human beings willingly being vulnerable and open and recognizing that we are connected. Yeah.
This idea of oneness and this ancient idea of becoming is key to me in that story, because we are always becoming.
Yes.
Meaning we're always we won't even go into this whole thing about expansion, but we're always seeing at different perspectives or from different points of views, or which expands and allow us to become something different from the moment it happened. Yes. Right? The first time I feel an electrical shock, as to opposed to never having felt an electrical shock, I have become something totally different before and after. And so when we begin to look at life in these kinds of inquisitive curiosities, these points to where we don't put things against each other, we put things in relationship to each other to expand our understanding. Now we're working with something, and that's what this whole life is about. You think, all of us began as an idea or an attraction in our parents' eye, right? Or in the magnetic field when they walk past each other. And so we have become what we are from a magnetic electrochemical magnet in our parents' body to us sitting here right now.
Exactly right. And I mean, isn't that miraculous? When you think about that single cell meeting a single cell, which you can't even see with the human eye, they're so small. And all of a sudden we got these full-on people who got attitudes and knowledge and maybe some wisdom and whatever else. But yeah, coming to a place of just loving on each other. I there's just not enough of it in the world, and we need more.
Yep.
And it doesn't hurt to tell.
I'm reminded of that verse from the.
What was that?
And I'm reminded of that verse from the Gospel of Thomas that says, when the two become one, right? We have two different things come together from our parents, and those two things become one, us, right? Or you. And, I'm like, okay, maybe I need to go read that book of Thomas again. I don't know. It might be something in there.
It's a good one. It's a good one for sure.
Keep an eye out for Elzia's Book of Thomas study group coming soon, folks. And I want to explore for just another second or two the stranger danger thing, right? Because if we spend our lives living from that consciousness, then we're living in fear.
We are, yes.
And I may have told this story here on this program, but coming home from Thanksgiving this year, traveling along the highway, and my family, we stopped at a rest area to use the facilities and such. And as we came out, there was a woman, and she had a flat tire. I mean, it was a flat tire. And we're probably 50 miles from the nearest town. And I asked her, I said, do you have roadside? And the question was mostly kind of to judge how she would respond. And she didn't look at me as stranger danger.
Yeah.
And then she said, yeah, I guess I should call them. And I said, well, better yet, do you have a spare tire? And there happened to be another gentleman who was within a handful of feet, and he heard, and he said, I'll help. Yeah. And we had that woman's tire changed in 5 minutes. She was back on the road. She had called her son-in-law, her daughter and her son-in-law, where she was traveling to say, hey, I'm going to be a little late because I'm going to find a city, and would you start calling around and see if we can find a tire? Because I don't want to come all the way. And I'm pretty sure she probably got to a shop and they put some air in the tire and put it back on and it was fine. I don't know.
Yeah.
But if she was living from stranger danger, she'd be sitting there for 3-4 hours. I'll wait for roadside. No, you're right. And we have to recognize that there are angels among us, and every one among us has that potential to be our angel today. And maybe that's somebody changing a tire, maybe that's somebody holding the door, maybe that's somebody cutting you off in traffic so that you slow down and don't get pulled over. I don't know, but we're one.
We are one. We are one. Yeah.
Hey, I'm looking at the clock. I'm realizing we're going to go way overtime, folks, if we don't do some of the other stuff that we need to do. So roll it across the bottom of your screen, or a few different ways that you can catch up with the Universal Joy Center and Reverend Barbara Jean on their website, ujoyc.ca. That's in Canada. TikTok, it's at Universal Joy Center, all spelled out. And remember, it's Canada, so we got that little E on the end there, the French influence. And on YouTube, it's at ujoyc as well. Please hit the like, share, and subscribe buttons on all those pages, so the algorithms start to know that you'd like to see more of this kind of support and services. And most importantly, out of it all, Reverend Barbara Jean, you have been a great supporter of New Thought Media Network over the years. You have the Joy Show on Friday afternoons. You are now the primary host of the Good News on Friday nights. We're going to start broadcasting your Wednesday evening service on the network as well. So you've got a lot going on around here. And tell us a little bit about the shows you're involved with.
Well, the Joy Show is by far my favorite. Although when you were talking about all the good people in the world, whenever I do the Good News, I always have a whole pile of stories of people who've done remarkable things for strangers. Yeah. And last week was about this guy who knocks on someone's door and they let him in and he stays for 45 years. like how's that for a beautiful, beautiful story? And the gentleman said, I don't even know why I let him in why I invited him in the house. I have no idea. This guy comes to the door and he's got, all his belongings in a garbage can or something. And he just said, come on in. And, it ends up being this beautiful, beautiful story because this young man was autistic and was treated poorly by the world at large. And they just opened the door and he recently passed, but he was with them for 45 years.
Wow.
Yeah. And when people would ask the kids, like, how do you deal with that guy? They go, what? I don't know. It's just him. It's like, I don't know. He's great. Like there wasn't an issue with any of the family members. So it's like, we can open our hearts. So every Friday night at 5 o'clock Mountain, 7 o'clock Eastern, we're doing good news stories that just show how fabulous humanity really is when we give it a minute to just reach out and help someone. People do it all the time. I always have half a dozen stories in there about people who are helping above and beyond, like way above and beyond, like getting somebody to live in your house for 45 years. That's above and beyond.
Yeah. Definitely above and beyond. So, all right. I can say we're going to take a break, folks, for just a moment and let you learn a little bit more about some of the other things that go on around here and let Barbara Jean catch her breath. But we're going to come back with more and more good news stories and more sharing for the Universal Joy Center as well. So stay with us. We'll be right back.
Are you passionate about media, storytelling, and making a difference? Welcome to New Thought Media Network, where your voice matters. We amplify diverse voices and share impactful stories. Join us in our mission. We are a nonprofit organization dedicated to creativity and community, looking for enthusiastic volunteers who want to be part of something bigger, learn, grow, and collaborate in various aspects of media production. Incredible support and camaraderie await you here. Your contributions will help us create powerful content that resonates with audiences and drives social change.
Ready to make a difference? Visit our website www.ntmedia.org to learn more about volunteer opportunities and how you can get involved.
Find our volunteer inquiry under the Engage tab on our website, or visit www.ntmedia.org/volunteer. We look forward to connecting with you soon.
And we're back with more of New Thought today here on the New Thought Media Network. My dear brother and co-host, Reverend Elzia Sekou, is with us, and our guest, Reverend Barbara Jean from the Universal Joy Center up in Toronto. Want to give a real quick shout out to our dear brother, Mark Lewis. Hello, sir. Good to know you're watching out there. He's in love with the short and sweet idea of your Wednesday night program. So Anybody else that's watching now or at another time, folks, leave a comment, drop a connection, say hello in the comments, and join the conversation if you like. And do please head out over into the internet and check out all the wonderful sites associated with the Universal Joy Center. Hit the subscribe button so people know. There's no reason you only have that you should only have 20 or 30 subscribers on TikTok. I subscribe, so we gave you one today. Let's get a few more, folks. Let's get a few more. Let's get that number up into the hundreds so that the algorithm picks it up and spreads it.
That would be awesome. We're getting lots of views on TikToks. So I'm excited about that. But it takes a little bit of time. It's only been about a month that we've been posting things regularly. And my daughter's boyfriend is doing all this stuff, and he's just genius with understanding things that are absolutely Greek to me. So
we love it. So, and one of the questions that we always ask, and we like to focus on in this program, is what's coming in the future. What's the bigger vision? If I have learned anything about New Thought leaders and ministers and practitioners around this world, is we all generally have a pretty big vision and a pretty expansive vision for where it all is leading. And we love to hear that from our guests as well. So if you had a crystal ball, or if you're looking out 5 years or 10 years, or what's the big vision that you're catching for the movement as a whole?
For the movement as a whole, I'm always a little bit surprised at our size, because what we offer is just so fantastic. So that always surprises me. So I want to see it massive. And I've had the idea of creating a Broadway style musical called Dancing with the Universe, and bringing together basically the story of life. It would sort of be following my story, but it's like how we can go from hell to heaven in a heartbeat, because those are states of consciousness, right? And depending on our life, we may go, well, I had the worst childhood ever, or somebody else goes, well, no, mine was worse than yours. Well, no, mine was worse. Well, let's stop trying to be worse than somebody else. Instead, why don't we go, hey, let me see how I can give you a hand up, or how you might give me a hand up, and how together we can create something really beautiful. So I see this teaching as the tool that gets us there. And so my sincere desire is to take this idea. I don't do music, but I see it as a musical, and create this great show that uses our principles and shares them in a really concrete way and a visual way. And of course, music lands everything so beautifully, to bring it all together so that we can, in fact, bring this out to the world, to a global audience, in a way that's easy to receive. I don't know that church is easy to receive sometimes, especially not in Canada, but something like a musical that isn't talking specifically about God or Allah, but is talking about life and oneness and our connection and what we have with each other and for each other, and how we journey from being in the pit of despair to something really, really beautiful. And how does that happen? It doesn't happen in a vacuum. It happens in a collective, right? We do this together. And so my vision, I'm just getting a little goosebumps here. My vision is to create something really, really beautiful that helps to lift our world into a place of real love and compassion, kindness and generosity. The only reason we have people living on the street is greed.
Yeah.
There's lots of places we could put people, but we're hanging on to that almighty dollar sometimes. And I don't agree with that. My attitude is, if somebody asks me for $5 and it's my last $5 and I feel the pull, they get it. I give it. It's like, I'm part of a universe that will not allow me to do without, right? Like, I'm connected with everything. So everything I have need of will always show up. And so it's finding that rhythm that we can be, really loving with ourselves, because I think that's where it all begins. If I hate me, well, I sure ain't got no love for you, right? It's just that anger, that hatred that is all going to go out. But if we take somebody who's really angry, like kids who bully, I hate this anti-bullying shit. I really do. What we need to do is begin to see that the bully is as much a victim as the person they're persecuting. They're both victims. And if we can take both and begin to teach them about how remarkable they are and how special they are and how beautiful and unique they are and how precious to the unfolding of our universe at this time, we begin to heal the wound that created the ability to create pain for someone else. Yeah. We don't hurt people because well, maybe some people do, but we don't hurt people because we want to. We hurt people because we're hurt. Yep. That hurt gets expressed. And, we can heal that, but it starts with parents learning how to parent their children the best way possible. And I think the world is getting a little better at that. And then, as kids are getting into school, we have to stop saying things like, well, boys will be boys. No. People are people, and let us go, no, just a minute. Here's how we handle conflict. Here's how we deal with these things. And we start to create a harmony that happens from a very young age, and we support each other in that. And I think that's my vision for life, is to create some kind of beautiful harmony and peacefulness. But it can only come when I'm feeling it here. Yeah. I can't give what I don't have.
Yep, exactly.
I have to start at home.
You bring up a great point. And I've told this story before. And a handful of years ago, a dear friend of mine in Salt Lake City called me, and he's not part of the philosophy or the movement. He doesn't attend church or anything like that. But his daughter was going through a bullying experience in school, and it had dragged on, and there had been interventions, and there had been conversations, and all this stuff had happened. And when it all comes down to the end, he ends up in the room with a principal and his daughter, and the principal is, here's what we're going to do for your daughter. And here's what we're going to do for your daughter. And here's what we're going to do for your daughter. And here's how we're going to help your daughter. And he stopped the whole conversation and said, hold on a minute. We're good. My daughter's fine. Me and my daughter, we'll be fine. We got no problem with. I want to know what you're going to do for that young man.
Yeah.
I want to know what you're going to do for that young man who thinks that this is the way to express themselves, that thinks this is a normal behavior, that thinks this is a healthy behavior, because that young man is obviously hurting a lot more than my daughter is over all of this.
Yeah.
And we're not talking punishment. We're not talking punitive. We're talking healing, and we're talking support. And how are you going to lessen the perpetuation of the belief system that brought us to this place? How are you going to change that? So very important conversation.
That kid needs a hug.
Right.
More than anything else, that kid needs a hug. And, and even when you start to see those kind of behaviors, that bullying behavior, if you go back into the household, you start to see, some of the dynamics there. And it doesn't mean it's an abusive household. It could be just the parents are really busy and not available, and the kid is feeling left out or unimportant or whatever's going on for them. And they need love from us. The world needs love from us. That's the only thing it needs, is love. If we could give that, we'd like solve all the world problems, I think.
Yeah.
I'll feed my neighbor, and I'll,
And yeah, I think, one thing that just became a lot clearer to me as I listened to the dialogue between you two is that we have found ourselves in the age of story, right? When we look at what's happening now on TikTok and all the social medias, people are trying to tell a story for whatever reason.
Yeah.
That's that. I don't want to, but the thing that I think where we as spiritual teachers and guides, or whatever we want to call ourselves, I think one thing that's key for us is to understand that people learn more through stories than to tell, preaching.
Absolutely.
And if we can begin to find various ways to tell the same story, and for me this year, it's the story of oneness. So whether I use the ocean as a metaphor, or the forest as a metaphor, or the body as a metaphor, to show how these different variances, not variants, but these different components work together to support the one thing, then I can explain a lot better this idea that we've labeled as bullying, which says something is out of order. Right now, if I start running, if my heart is not in the shape to catch the run, it's going to start bullying my body and say, look, now you can keep running if you want, but if you don't slow down, I'm going to fall you out right on this ground. And you may call it bullying, and in a lot of ways it might be.
Yeah.
But that bullying, as we were saying, is an indication of something that's out of balance in the one.
Exactly.
And when we can really begin to hone in on this idea of the oneness, a lot of these problems can be highlighted in a story, and then you can, from there, I can elucidate any way I want. I can go down the deepness of it all before I can show you the parts of it, I believe.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And that, that's the journey that we're on, is to, and I love our theme for the year is from the inside out. And again, that's about oneness. In the moment that I find my true self, my authentic self, and willingly share that with the world, then in fact, I am a contributor. And I'm creating something that's going to have an impact, not just on my life or my family, but on the world at large, because we lift the vibration, we lift the energy. And I think that's what we're really striving for as New Thought teachers, is we're here to illustrate a new way. And what I found with my children, they learn a lot more from what I do than from what I say. And, so when I'm, my daughter who's 20, she'll sit back and, I'll be having a moment and she'll go, yeah, so what about this, this, and this? And she starts giving me my words back. Or my husband looks at me and he goes, he said, there's this minister that I know. And she says, like, okay, you guys. I'm also human, so I can have a moment. They'll just dish it right back. Here, you said this, or you taught this, or we saw this, But that's life. It's a lovely thing that we can share with one another, and we can laugh.
Yeah, there's that saying that goes. Yeah, there's that saying that goes, what you do speaks so loudly, I can't hear what you're saying.
Exactly.
And that's what we have to, we say that in many different ways. We have to begin to be the message, not perfect, not be perfect.
Nope.
But be the message, to show that, yeah, there are moments when I'm in the pocket, when I'm in the groove, and this machine is humming. But there's some time when I try to shift from gear 1 to gear 2, I ain't quite right on my clutch, and I start jerking around here, and I got to get myself in the right relationship so I can, go from gear 1 to gear 2, and that's just life. And so we have to begin to be that message.
Yeah, and tell the truth and do it quickly. If my children say to me, I remember my kids saying to me, well, you ever smoke pot? Yeah. Did you ever do drugs as a teenager? Yeah. Did you have sex before you got married? Yeah. Like, I'm not going to lie to them, and I'm going to talk to them about my experience, and it's my experience. It's not theirs, but it could be theirs. if they chose to, do some of the things that I did. But at the same time, when we pretend that we're, holier than thou, well, somebody's going to come and kick that pillar out from underneath us and drop us on our butt.
Yep.
Because it's BS. It isn't real. And we have to learn to be real. And it means I have flaws and things that, I have my moments. As we all do. We're human, right? Yeah. We're learning.
Yeah. That's something Robert and I have talked about a bit, and some others, is this whole idea of rites of passage, right? Where we get groups of people together at a certain age when certain things are taking place within the body temple, regardless to whether you want it or not, whether you recognize it or not, whether you understand it or not, does not matter. It happens because that's the pattern of life. And when we can begin to teach our young people from that perspective and say, look, I'm showing you, and as we say, we have this infinity. There are infinite things that can happen. Here are some things that are kind of in the middle that you can understand this dynamic. Now, you can choose whatever you want, but I'm going to let you know there's a consequence to each one you make, even staying in the middle.
Yep.
You have to work that out. There's some people who love to swim. There's some people who don't want to get in the water at all. They don't even want to be near the water for whatever reason. And we have to respect that. But then we learn the oneness again of how we go together, how we work together, how we infuse everything we do with a sense of reverence, a sense of infinite possibilities, and a sense of I am always at a point of choice.
Always.
Always. I always believe that if I lie to my kids, the day is going to come when they're going to lie back.
Absolutely.
Not just like children's lies and fibs, but like when I'm old and infirm and going to need some help getting around, they're going to lie back. They're going to, pull the rug over my eye. No, we finally get to get even with Dad. No. Like you may be a young human, but you're still a human. You may be a young soul or an old soul in a young body, but we're still in this oneness. And my good is not private to me. I've got to be able, if I can be real and authentic with my family, with my friends, colleagues, the guy on the street, then I anticipate and I can feel assured that that's going to come back to me, and I'm going to get that same experience. And when I'm having a tough day, somebody's going to show up and help change my tire.
Exactly. I had a very interesting experience early on in life. I was 27 years old and had just gone through a marriage breakup. Was devastated, but I had joined a church. This is when I had my spiritual epiphany, and I had joined a Nazarene church, and I had only been there for about 6 months, I think, because I had just this huge awakening while I was in one of their meetings. And so I stuck around there because I'm like, well, let me figure this out because this feels good. And what was interesting was after my husband left, I was very distraught and actually was planning to take my life. And he'd been gone for about 6-7 weeks at the time. The kids were out of control. They were just absolutely so upset about everything. And I just was at my wit's end. So I got them looked after. I, got everything in order, went to get into my car. I'm getting ready to leave the house and my phone rings. And the phone rings and this woman says to me, "You don't know who I am, but I sit 3 rows behind you at church. And you've been on my mind for the last hour and I can't get you off. And I don't know why I'm calling you."
Wow.
And we chatted and I kept saying, well, I got to go. I got something to do, blah, blah, blah. And finally, she just wasn't having it. And I burst into tears and I told her what I was going to do. And to me, when that happened, that was a pivotal moment on my spiritual path to go, wait a minute, there is no them and us. There's only now, and there's only one. And it was so loud that I couldn't ignore it. And I'm still here today. So, that was like 42 years ago. So it's like,
thank you, Spirit.
yeah, but we think that's a miracle. No, that's the natural picturing of the law when we listen.
Yeah.
We listened.
Yep, exactly.
Yeah.
Folks, we're going to take another real quick break and say thank you to our organizational sponsors and individual donors. We trust you'll stay with us.
That's
a little bit more coming up with Reverend Barbara Jean. We'll be back in just a moment. Stay tuned. Please help us say thank you to all of our organizational sponsors, including the Hefferland Foundation, Affiliated New Thought Network, International New Thought Alliance, Science of Mind Archives and Library Foundation, Center for Spiritual Living Denver, Center for Spiritual Living Midtown, New Thought Philadelphia, Center for Spiritual Living United Life, Sunshine Cathedral, Planned Happiness Institute, Summit Center for Spiritual Living, One Heart Retreats, Universal Joy Center, Unity Kitchener, Unity Spiritual Center Ottawa, Home Center for Spiritual Living, Satya Center, Begin Within Ministries, Center for Spiritual Living North Jersey, Unity of Savannah, and the Center for Spiritual Living Seattle, as well as all of our individual donors. On behalf of New Thought Media Network, thank you, and please like, share, and subscribe. New Thought Media Network, come be you. It's always a fun when someone in our thank you reel is on the program. Elzia is here every week, or more or less. So he gets a lot of thank yous. But Reverend Barbara, on behalf of all of New Thought Media Network, thank you. And thank you for the contributions that Universal Joy Center makes not only to the world, but to this ministry as well.
Absolutely. You're most welcome. My joy, my joy. My joy is to share.
There we go. See, I had a sense you were going somewhere before we went to the break. So let's kick it back to you for a minute.
Yeah. That story that Bob Jean was talking about, it just reminded me, and I apologize, and I don't apologize for my fixation on oneness at this moment in time, because I think it's needed. But it just was another way of telling the story of the forest and the relationship between the mycelium and the trees. That there is this web under the rainforest of mycelium that helps the two things communicate and keep each other in balance and harmony, and that was such a beautiful way of explaining that outside of a forest kind of a situation into a very personal situation, that there is this connection that is unseen, that is always connected, and if we're listening close enough, we'll hear the call.
Yes, we will.
Yes, we will. Well, folks, I think I set us up a little earlier when I said if we don't keep moving, we're going to run late, and we're running over. So I'm going to make it quick. Final thoughts. My final thoughts. Deeply, we are one. And today's program really has solidified that for me. And at the sake of being repetitive myself, there is no private good. There is no private good. My good is your good, and your good is my good, and God is good. So.
Yes.
Reverend Barbara, final thoughts.
Well, for me, I'm always so grateful to be here. It's wonderful to have this conversation with both of you and with everybody who's paying attention. I just want to say that we are connected, and that as we love ourselves and then share that love outward, there is nothing for us to fear. There is nothing for us to fear. And if we can really anchor that within ourselves, we will start to move forward with a lot more grace and harmony. It's fear that trips us up. So if we can, I don't know if we'll ever get past it, but let's be courageous. Let's take the bull by the horns and let's ride it for all it's worth. And let's make life be a beautiful expression of joy and love.
Right on. Rev Z, close us out. I think he may have said everything he needed to say.
Well, no, I was just contemplating because we've said so much, and the only thing is, love is the key. Oneness is the way.
There we go.
Yes.
All right, folks. We're out of here for now. We'll be back again next week with another special guest and another interview. Reverend Barbara Jean, thank you so much for being with us. Everyone that's watching, thanks for being a part of the New Thought Media Network. Until next time, we wish you peace and richest blessings. Bye now.